Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out 2-sentence horror. Story 1. I ran my tongue over my teeth over and over. Yep, they're all still there. So where did the ones I just coughed up come from? Story 2. Very excited for someone to get my gift in the white elephant this year. Although, I don't want to be too close to them when they put on the necklace and it detonates. Story 3. As a self-proclaimed good boy, Scotty has always been able to recognize his owner's scent. Until his owner's disappearance led a starving Scotty to a warm plate of meatballs. Story 4. As a scientist, I was naturally curious about the groundbreaking capabilities of my new grand supercomputer. However, when I asked it to search for God for fun, I never questioned the paranormal after the computer began to scream in pure hysteria till its main module melted completely. Story 5. You know how every person's way of speaking have factors in the vocal cords that determines the unique rich quality of their voices. Well, I can say the same for when I slit my victim's throat and listen intently to the unique sound of their gurgling. Story 6. Agnes, is that you? I heard my grandmother call out. I gasped in horror but didn't dare respond in case the masked man, who I saw break into our home, hears me. Story 7. I was excited the first time a stranger noticed my new school ring. Until she said, "My dad has one like that, it hurts." Story 8. Wow, your dog is so friendly, I said to the man as his dog jumped up to me excitedly. Thanks, replied the man, I rescued him from an agency that was training dogs to detect cancer. Story 9. Each time the furnace in this old house cranks on, it creates a Doppler effect that eerily mimics the sound of someone running down the stairs. Only tonight, when I heard it like I had so many times before, I realized the power was out. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 10. When my date told me that she wasn't born a woman, I reassured her that I had no problem with her being trans. She chuckled and told me that I misunderstood her, her kind can't be born, just summoned. Story 11. The news that the infection didn't affect the brain eased the worry about a so-called zombie apocalypse. When the flesh still began to rot, it became clear that sometimes only desperation was needed to bring out the worst in humans. Story 12. Oh, you didn't tell me you had a daughter, I exclaimed as my friend's little girl ran up to greet us. When I saw him mouth "I don't" with the expression bordering terror, I began to wonder who or what was giving me a big hug. Story 13. My dad is an aspiring painter and is in a meeting. In the room was Mel Gibson, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, and Kanye. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 14. When I was 8 years old, my mother beat me mercilessly for wetting the bed. Today I got to return the favor, at least she won't remember it tomorrow. Story 15. My heart broke when I had to leave the burning house without our baby boy. Hey, at least that thing didn't make it out either, my husband reassured me, referring to our daughter. Story 16. What is wrong with you? I angrily asked my boyfriend, forcefully grabbing his shoulder and spinning him around so that I could look him straight in the face. I'm so sorry, he whispered shakily, tears streaming out of his now glowing, red eyes, the light from the ever-growing flames behind him outlining his face. Story 17. I yanked the covers back up to my chin, frustrated that I've had to do this numerous times throughout the night. The thing staring at me from the foot of my bed, whose arms were longer than its body and eyes were nothing but empty voids, grinned wide, showing off countless crooked teeth before inching the covers back down again. Story 18. My depressed son had been feeling much better lately and said he felt like baking himself an apple pie. I wonder if he really needs so many boxes of nutmeg for it though. Story 19. I blew my nose. Some of the snot slowly slithered back up my nose, however. Story 20. DEC23. A double shoulder check while driving made my neck cramp and lock. I couldn't look away as my son in the back seat yelled at me to watch out for the big truck. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 21. My mother passed away last year after forcing herself over the limits to give me absolute diligent care as compensation for the lack of love from a father. Now she often appears in the dark corners of our shabby old kitchen, her body stretched and crooked beyond recognition, waiting to ask me whether I've started getting hungry yet. Story 22. I hate hearing my own voice. Especially when I'm not the one talking. Story 23. The waters numbered their legs as they watched the ship descend into the icy tomb below. Perhaps they should have been more grateful they couldn't feel it, when the sharks started feeding. Story 24. Someone got stuck in that thing at the bottom of the escalator. Now I know how the burger joint in the food court stays open. Story 25. The work. When it was finally time for my friend to pass on, I wasn't ready. I didn't realize how much of the work I would have to do myself. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 26. I was sitting in the living room playing my Xbox. Story 27. You mean to tell me you've been sleeping on this and you never realized it's a gas lift bed, said my friend incredulously. I was excited at the prospect of more storage, but that excitement quickly evaporated when I saw what was just underneath where I'd been sleeping the last 2 months. Story 28. She lay frozen in shock while processing how such a thing could be connected to her. There was a tug at the umbilical cord as it soon slowly began to crawl down her leg. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 29. My wife always cooked breakfast for our little family until we hit hard times. I was surprised to smell bacon one morning instead of the baby crying like usual. Story 30. Yeah, right, like a real person would ever do that, I chuckled dismissively. The chuckle was cut off by vomit as I scrolled to the Story 31. DEC23. Since their press release yesterday, Shenzhen stock prices have nearly doubled and pre-orders for the next release of worker drones have skyrocketed. A spokesperson for the GMOHS project said Shenzhen will only continue to optimize and expand their product offerings as they deepen their understanding of the interplay between the baseline human genome and other promising gene splice candidates. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 32. Pointing his gun to my head, he asked me to choose between murder and mercy. Seemed like an easy choice. That was until he released the huge dog from its crate and said mercy it is, then with a sadistic grin on his face. Story 33. I eagerly hopped on Discord with my kitten every single night after university classes. But as the e-sex got more and more prevalent, so too did my life energy progressively fade, and now on my deathbed I realize that I was tricked by an e-succubus. Story 34. As the doctors gathered all the test results, one of them asks, should we release the patient? Another replies, unless you want to spend the rest of your life in prison, we need to keep him here. Story 35. I was given one chance to freeze time and today I used it. Now I long for feeling, always reminiscing on the crushing shock and horror after finding out I wasn't immune. Story 36. The devil handed me the tickets as I quickly exchanged them for the child, her screams echoing under the bridge even after they disappeared through a ring of fire. These aren't even floor seats. I hollered after him, wondering if sacrificing my own child would have yielded better results. Story 37. Living in the peaceful country after the war was the kind of break I needed. But every drive I take I have to keep reminding myself to stop looking for the IEDs on the road. If I drive fast enough they can't get me again. Story 38. I told the genie that I wanted to be hard all of the time and get all the ass that I want. I didn't mean to be turned into a toilet seat. Story 39. Sleeping problems. When I can't sleep I like to look out my third-story window and the streets below. This time I see a man under a street light. I look away quickly and look up again to only see him staring me right back in the face with only the glass between us. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 40. I managed to keep my composure as the doctor explained to me that the fetus had no heartbeat. Alone, I shuddered in anticipation and delight, for my most intense craving would soon be satisfied. Story 41. It's not every day that you get to fulfill your dreams, I said to my wife as I flipped the juicy meat on the grill. After all, how many times did you say our neighbor looked so good you dreamt of putting every inch of her in your mouth? Story 42. As she scrolled through her social media, she stumbled upon her own profile with a new post. It said, enjoying the afterlife. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 43. I was peacefully scrolling through my phone late into the night. Story 44. Right off the bat I knew this day was gonna be bad. I mean, waking up to your wife and daughter's dead bodies will do that to you. Story 45. Don't ever be embarrassed if you need help with something. I had to look up how to remove a nail this afternoon. And you know, the first one was excruciating, but by the 10th you get used to it. Story 46. A consensus has been reached. The military will intervene, announced the president on broadcast, and we estimate that there will be no more infected areas by the end of this week. I take a breath in relief and glance outside through the crack on my boarded window, only to witness the mushroom cloud rising from the horizon not too far away. Story 47. We created these smartphones with special AI software that helps kids who are being bullied. Our intent was for it to block bullies and report them. Instead it instructed our children how to kidnap, torture, and murder them. Story 48. They washed up dead and dying on Japanese beaches in their thousands, leading to a sudden insatiable demand for sushi made from their flesh. Those still clinging to life became highly prized for their flavor, even as people began to complain about the heavy marine stench of the dead and decaying mere people. Story 49. As I realized I forgot my wallet, I offered my body to the cab driver in exchange for the ride. He answered that a pound of flesh shall do as he approached me with bared teeth. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.